Can you climb?
If I can't, this is all gonna be over pretty fast, isn't it?
Then let's get you started.
This little introduction here pretty much sums up Horizon Call of the Mountain by Aloy. It is a very graphically impressive game where in fact you'll be spending most of your time climbing and scaling mountains and structures. And some people might find that a little bit surprising because what has been shown mostly from the game is the intro section that's kind of an on-rails canoe ride where you are slowly introduced to the virtual reality world and you'll be able to play with your fingers and stuff like that, but it doesn't really show what the game is actually mostly about, which, like I said, and what Aloy said, is climbing. Call of the Mountain is a very impressive technical showcase for the PlayStation Virtual Reality 2 headset, but overall, I don't think it's the strongest game in the launch lineup for the headset. It's just missing a bit of depth, really. This seems more like a technical showcase, and the climbing does tend to, get the better of you after a while. You do get some very exciting sections like this one here, where you're crossing ravines, and when you're looking down, it gives you a little, tickle in your tummy. But most of the game is spent, working your way around structures and finding how to pretty much proceed up a mountain. And the mechanics work really well. Like, I just use your hands, like in the real world, to grab onto handholds and pull yourself forward. That's pretty much it. And it is, I guess, a very easy way of getting people introduced to the VR world. Because also motion sickness is pretty hard in this game here, and especially when you are frequently rewarded with great vistas like this. It doesn't all take place climbing mountains. There's also underwater sections, and of course there's also normal walking sections. But overall, the climbing sections are by far the most abundant. The whole game, like I said, seems a little bit like a tech demo. Pretty much made primarily to ease people into the world of virtual reality, because there's not too much fast-paced stuff to do, and there's not too much that requires you to act in ways that would introduce motion sickness into the game. I did get a little queasy after a while playing the game, but I do that with any VR games. So the combat is also changed from what you would expect, especially if you played the other Horizon games. What you really can do in this combat is strafe left and right while you are, pulling arrows out of your quiver from your shoulder and then firing them at whatever enemy you're facing. So it's fairly simple, and again, there's not a lot of opportunity to introduce, missteps that cause you to feel sick, which could be like a huge problem in these kind of fast-paced battles here. And I will say that this is probably the best beginner PSVR game in the bunch. I agree with that. Mostly because it is pretty difficult to get motion sickness from this game here. If you play some of the other games that are out, for example Resident Evil Village, that one can definitely give you a bit of a headache, and some of the titles as well. But if you play them a bit every day for a week, you should get over it, and that's what I'm trying to do myself. So if we just talk about the gestures for a minute here, then the implementation of your hands in the game are pretty much flawless, just like any of the other PSVR2 titles. Like, you can easily pick up small things on in the game world, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just pretty much reach out and close your hand, and that's it. The game will help you if you're not entirely precise there. And of course, all interaction happens just like in the real world. So if you want to unlock a padlock, you have to actually find your key in the inventory. It can be a little bit fiddly, and then physically unlock the padlock by turning the key. So these are things that you have to get to grips with. Another thing that you'll have to remember is when you open boxes, you'll have to actually manually pick up whatever you find and drop it into your inventory. I mean, I like that, but after a while, it takes a while to empty these boxes here, and It's not a criticism, but it's just a fact. There's lots of comfort and movement settings in the game, and it's set up by default in such a way that, like I mentioned, it's very hard to get motion sickness. But if you want to, be a little bit more free in your movement and you're looking around, your movement control, and the camera view, you can change pretty much anything in here and make the game a little bit more to your liking.
Like she would have been helpful.
The game has all the usual assists. You can also expand the vignette, so that means that when you are looking around, like the field of view will become more narrow to keep you from getting as motion sick.
Did something find you?
This effect here doesn't really have a lot of impact when I play. I don't really feel that it helps at all. But then on the other hand, I don't think this is the most motion sickness inducing game of the bunch. A feature that has been raved much about in Call of the Mountain is the ability for eye tracking that the PSVR2 headset supports. Once you calibrate it, which takes 5 seconds, it works really well. And of course, you can play this game, or any PSVR game, really, at least so far, standing or seated. It doesn't really matter. A nice little feature I noticed is that in the menus, your controllers are actually visible on the screen. So it makes it a lot easier to get to grips with which button it is you're supposed to press. And it even turns blue when you're actually pressing it. So that way, if you're looking for a button and you're trying to figure out how to actually control the game, this helps a lot. I wish other games had the same implementation. So getting to the end of this video here, I mean, Call of the Mountain is not a bad game in any way. It's one of the best PSVR2 experiences out there. It just gets a little bit stale after a while because, like I mentioned a few times now, most of the gameplay consists of navigating your way through mountains, buildings, and whatever is available in the game by climbing. And it works well, but there's probably a little bit too much climbing in the game here. But as you can tell, the graphics are astonishing, and I think only Resident Evil Village does a better job. That's only just. Now, as you also saw earlier, there's plenty of camos in this game here by the famous characters from the original PlayStation games, like including Aloy, of course. And although she's a lot shorter than I thought she would be, or maybe I'm just a little bit too tall in this game here, it's a great experience to actually see her in 3D in real life, standing right in front of you. Nothing can really describe that. So get out there, buy this game, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you out there.